Food freedom isn't what most people think. The diet industry has been lying to you for decades, making you believe that your worth is tied to your weight. What if I told you the real secret has nothing to do with eating whatever you want, but rewiring your brain to understand what your body needs? Diet culture pushes restriction and shame, but today I'm breaking down the revolutionary approach to food freedom that's transforming lives nationwide. So what is food freedom really? Most people think it means eating whatever you want, whenever you want, with zero restrictions. But imagine if you applied that logic to other areas of your life. Would true freedom mean spending all your money impulsively? Or would it mean having a healthy relationship with money that gives you more choices and control? See, genuine food freedom isn't about abandoning all structure. It's about breaking free from the artificial rules that diet culture has programmed into your brain. It's developing a relationship with food that serves your health, happiness, and long-term well-being. Look at what happens physiologically when you're trapped in diet culture. Your cortisol levels, your primary stress hormone, stay chronically elevated. This triggers inflammation, disrupts your sleep patterns, and actually causes your body to store more fat, especially around your midsection. It's a biological protection mechanism against what your body perceives as a famine state. This is why chronic dieters often struggle with stubborn belly fat despite restricting calories. When you achieve absolute food freedom, food loses its emotional power over you. You no longer feel guilty, anxious, or obsessed about what you eat. You make food choices from a place of self-care rather than self-punishment. Your cortisol normalizes, inflammation decreases, and your metabolism functions how it's designed to. Most importantly, you reclaim the mental bandwidth that diet culture has stolen from you. Studies show the average person on a diet spends up to 2 hours daily thinking about food. Imagine what you could do with that mental energy when it's not consumed by food rules and restrictions. Now let's talk about the science of intuitive eating, because this isn't just some feel-good philosophy backed by serious research. A 2020 meta-analysis published in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics looked at 97 studies on intuitive eating. It was associated with lower BMI, better psychological health, improved blood markers, and, most importantly, sustainable habits. When you practice intuitive eating, you're activating your body's natural hunger and fullness signals, which operate through the enteroendocrine system's specialized cells throughout your digestive tract that communicate directly with your brain via hormones. When you eat, these cells produce peptides like cholecystokinin, GLP-1, and PYY, signaling fullness to your hypothalamus. Diet culture has trained you to override these signals for so long that the communication pathways have become dysfunctional. But here's the thing. These pathways can be restored through mindful eating practices that reconnect you with your body's wisdom. This is key for metabolic flexibility. Your body can efficiently switch between using carbohydrates and fats for fuel. When you're metabolically flexible, you have sustained energy throughout the day and improved cognitive function, and your body naturally finds its optimal composition. Instead of fighting against your biology, you're working with it. I've seen people who struggle with intense sugar cravings completely transform their relationship with sweet foods simply by removing the restriction mentality. When sugar isn't forbidden, the neurological reward pathways in your brain don't overreact when you consume it. The biology is fascinating. The dopamine spike that drives compulsive eating diminishes when food loses its emotional charge. The third principle is understanding the diet binge cycle and how to break it once and for all. Nearly 45 million Americans are stuck in this destructive pattern every year, spending billions on weight loss products that don't work. The cycle works like this. Restriction leads to physical and psychological deprivation, which triggers overeating, which leads to guilt and shame, which brings you right back to restriction. It's a vicious cycle that keeps you trapped. The hormonal reality is that restrictive dieting increases your ghrelin levels, your hunger hormone, while simultaneously reducing leptin sensitivity, your fullness hormone. Your body literally fights against restriction with all its biological mechanisms. Let me break this down even further. When you restrict calories, your metabolic rate slows up to 30% as your body enters conservation mode. This is why the weight always comes back. Your body works against you. But your metabolic rate optimizes when you eat according to your hunger and fullness signals. You're working with your biology, not against it. Moreover, constant dieting changes your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria that influence everything from digestion to immune function to brain health. Research shows that frequent restrictive dieting reduces beneficial bacteria strains like Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus, which are crucial in managing inflammation and supporting proper digestion. This disruption creates a cascade effect that makes future attempts at weight management even harder. The way out of this cycle isn't another diet. It's systematically deconstructing the false beliefs that diet culture has programmed into your mindset. How do you actually implement this in your daily life? Step 1 is learning to recognize and honor your hunger and fullness cues. Most people eat based on external factors: time, social pressure, boredom, or rigid meal plans. Instead, try this practice. Before eating, rate your hunger on a scale of 1 to 10. During the meal, pause halfway through and check in with your body. After eating, note your fullness level. This simple practice begins to rebuild those neural pathways and hormonal signals I mentioned earlier. Let's get even more practical. Start carrying satisfying snacks with you to honor your hunger whenever it arises. This might sound counterintuitive if you've been trapped in a diet mentality. However, feeding your body when hungry boosts your metabolism and prevents the energy conservation mode that sabotages your progress. Step 2 is practicing mindful eating. Most of us eat while distracted, scrolling through our phones, watching TV, or working. This prevents your brain from adequately registering the experience, which leaves you unsatisfied regardless of how much you've eaten. Try eating one meal a day without distractions. Focus on the flavors, textures, and how the food makes your body feel. Studies show this practice alone can reduce overeating by up to 30%. This works because your vagus nerve, the communication highway between your gut and brain, needs time to transmit satiety signals. When you eat mindfully, you give this process time to work correctly. Step 3 is challenging your food rules and judgments. Make a list of foods you consider bad or off limits. For each one, ask yourself, where did this rule come from? Is it based on how this food makes my body feel? Or is it from diet culture messaging? Then, systematically work on neutralizing these foods by incorporating them mindfully and without judgment. This process, called habituation, actually reduces their psychological power over you. The key is to observe how different foods affect you personally. Dairy causes inflammation in your joints, or perhaps it's perfectly fine for your system. This individualized approach is the opposite of one-size-fits-all diet plans, and it's why it works long-term when diets fail. The final principle, and possibly the most crucial, is self-compassion. Food freedom is impossible without addressing the harsh inner criticism that diet culture has installed in your mind. When you make peace with your body and treat it respectfully, you naturally want to nourish it well. This isn't about lowering your standards, but changing your motivation from punishment to care, from restriction to nourishment, from shame to respect. And here's the powerful truth. When you approach nutrition from this mindset, your food choices naturally evolve toward foods that make you feel good physically and mentally. No willpower is required. The $72 billion diet industry doesn't want you to discover this approach. When you find food freedom, you won't need their products anymore. This transformation isn't just about food, it's about reclaiming your mental energy and self-trust. If you like this video, hit subscribe and the notification bell for next week's video. I'll see you